Alright, it's story time. I play a pretty decent amount of Dungeons & Dragons. I've been lucky enough to do it a lot. We've always had enough people to play, and that's fantastic, because a lot of people don't actually get that luxury. I played so much D&D, in fact, that I don't remember every single thing I've done, but certain moments and characters stick out in my mind in a very nice way. This is one of those. This is my very first session of D&D. I remember it like it was only 10 years, 2 months, 6 days, 20 hours, 6 minutes, and 11 seconds ago. Alright, so let me set the scene for you here. I'm a little teenage Dumbo kid, and I, for some reason, like League of Legends a lot. My favorite character in the game at the time is Mordekaiser, so my good friend...
Since we're talking about fighting types, he reminds me of Nick Diaz. that's the vibe I get.
And the DM for this game, Zach, he helps me make Mordekaiser, but in Dungeons & Dragons. It was pretty cool. So I'm jumping in way later than I should. All the other guys are like level 11 or some shit, and so I am too, just, you know, gotta do that. I have no idea what any of my stuff does, but thankfully I have seen some videos about Dungeons & Dragons beforehand, so I know what not to do at the very least.
It was devastating!
So yeah, after I'm finally introduced, we go to meet up with everybody else. There was a cat lady with knives, I think. There was a mage, probably. I don't remember too much about the party, honestly, but I do remember we had 2 guys from the Fighters Guild with us, and they were badass. One guy was called Murdoch, and I don't remember the other guy's name. The other guy. Anyway, after I meet up with everyone else and they see my 6'10" looking big mace having heavy armor wearing spell casting ass, they go, yeah, you can come with us, whatever. So we all head out into the desert to some cave they wanted to go to. There's like some evil stuff in there. I'm not really listening to the story at this point. I'm looking over my stuff and asking questions about like how the game works. Everyone I think agreed that it was pretty important, so they're cool with me just catching up on the story later. Zach helps me get used to the stuff on my sheet, especially my feats. Feats are essentially just passives or cool shit that your character can do. You get them when you level up. They're like perks, but for D&D. That's a pretty good comparison. One of the ones that Zach tells me to get is this one called Spell Focus Necromancy. All it does is basically make my spells sharper. I'm looking over my stuff, and since I don't know exactly what to do, I'm mostly just using my big old mace to hit dudes. One of the things we put on this mace is like spell conduit or something. Basically it makes it so that spells that you normally have to touch somebody to use, you can just touch them with your weapon instead. So we're cruising through the dungeon, we're smacking dudes, smacking slugs, smacking like demons or whatever. I don't remember this part too much. What is important is that the couple of NPC goons, Murdoch and something or other, they're actually doing work. What's his name gets poisoned pretty bad. He goes down, unfortunately. He's not dead, but he can't come with us. He can't continue on anymore. And by this point, the rest of the party start dropping too. There's one room left, presumably the boss room. I'm the only player left standing. I'm at 3 HP. I've got Murdoch. Oh shit, I've also got this skeleton guy with me. He's got a tower shield and nothing else. I named him Krillin, I remember, because he was supposed to die if something was gonna kill me. So we get to this point and I'm like, well, we gotta keep it going, man. We're almost at the end. So we press onward against all sense and reason telling us to regroup and try again later. But for whatever reason, I'm like, nah, I got this. We enter the room, and there's an enormous pool of dark water in front of us as we step farther into the chamber. Suddenly, a large creature bursts out of the aqua. It's an aboleth. But this one is like super cool and dangerous and has demon blood or some shit. I don't know what a regular one is like at this point, so, you know. Anyway, he's like, I see you finally found my secret lair. You should never have come here. And I'm like, listen, pal, you're turbo evil, and that's no good, so get down here so I can whack you. So we start combat, and I know I've only got 1 shot at this since I have actually 3 HP left. We roll the dice. Who goes first? It's him. This giant creature is diving down with murderous intent. He's coming to smack me into the next millennia. I see death approaching and think, well, it was a cool first game. Suddenly, a skeleton with a tower shield. Krillin comes in and he takes a big ass smackaroonie to his shield and he gets blown to bits. But it's all for naught. The second attack is coming to smash me into a bloody pulp into the ground. Suddenly, a Fighters Guild NPC with a large torso. Murdoch comes diving in like that scene in Mandalorian where the teeth dude is gonna murder a baby. The half-fiend, half-dragon, half-demon Aboleth is before me, and I have this one opportunity to take him out. I look over my spell list, and one in particular sticks out to me after a few seconds. Slay Living. I bet that does a bunch of damage. It is at this moment the mace swings true, clapping this bitch on the jaw with a loud. The spell goes off, and Zach asks me something. He's like, "Wait, you have spell focus necromancy, right?" And I'm like, yeah, I wrote that down. It was the one you said to take. And he's like, oh, then he fails to resist by 1. So I did it. We did it. After looking over the monster stats, it turns out he was resistant to all kinds of stuff like frost, fire, acid, you get the idea. He was not, however, immune to instant death effects. When that spell went off, it went off, bruh. That swing took the soul out of his body. Anyway, that was my first game of D&D. It was fun as hell, and there's tons more stories I've got, because thankfully we've played a ton since then. Oh yeah, and I went back and got Krillin's bones in his shield and buried him properly.